Natural health. And I wasn't planning to go live today, but this morning I went to a BNI meeting, a business networking meeting, and I brought up the topic of parasites, and it was amazing the conversations that came out of it. And parasites are often something that people don't consider, especially if you're someone who's living in North America. We have this preconceived notion that this is only a problem in other parts of the world. And I know if you bring this conversation up, a lot of people will really chime in and get into it. And so I wanted to talk to you about this because we have a full moon. I looked on Google and it's kind of debatable when it is. It's either tonight or tomorrow night. But parasites become more active and engaged around the moon cycle. So if there's a full moon or a new moon, it impacts serotonin levels and melatonin levels in our body, and parasites respond to that a lot. So this is a time where if you're ever someone or if you are someone who's ever worked in retail, in customer service with people or even with animals, you may notice that there's a change in behavior. There's a change in people's moods around this time of the month when the moon is going full. I was someone who worked in retail for a good portion of my life. I can definitely tell you that people were different around the full moon. We used to kind of joke in the store and say like, "Oh, it must be a full moon because the crazy's coming out in people. Anxiety levels can be higher. People aren't sleeping as well. Food cravings can be higher. When parasites are active, they control a lot of the things we do on a daily basis. So if they're affecting parts of your body, you're going to have different symptoms. And so today, one that came up this morning, I wanted to talk about two of the most common parasites that we see in North America, and then some other ones we've had experience with in clinical practice as well. And what we need to realize is that, like, if you have a pulse, you probably have parasites. Not all parasites are bad, but the problem happens when your parasite population gets out of control and the immune system can't handle it. If we think of the immune system as like a scale, those old scales where you put, anyways, as a scale, there's the first half of our immune system is meant to focus on viruses and bacteria and other things that can impact our system. And the other side, when it's focusing really heavily, TH2, when it's focusing really heavily on parasites, viral load doesn't get handled. The body's not able to deal with the other things that it's trying to deal with. And so making sure you do pay some attention to how you're feeling, how your symptoms are. If you're finding that around certain times of the month, you're more irritable, you're sleeping terribly. I had a conversation with a client a couple days ago, and she's like, "Oh, Kate mentioned something about there's a full moon coming up." And then she had a couple nights, I think it was 2 nights, where she was awake in the middle of the night and just like the thoughts were just going crazy. And she's like, It's my bugs." And when you start to have an understanding of what's going on in your body, yes, we can start to address these things, but it can be comforting as well to know, like, I'm not losing my mind. Parasites eat neurotransmitters. So that's going to impact the way you feel, your emotions. It's going to impact your ability to sleep. And there's lots of different reasons that we need to address parasites, especially today when our immune system is dealing with so many other things that parasites aren't handled the way that they need to be to keep us ultimately healthy. So, two types of parasites that are the most common, I looked up because I wanted to get kind of some statistics, I guess, or some information around this, because there's a common one that we often hear of, especially if you're a parent. But the most common one in North America is actually Giardia. And Giardia is something that I hadn't heard of in the past. And then I fostered a dog, and that was something that they were talking about because Giardia would go throughout the kennels, and you had to pay attention and see if there was anything going on with your dog. Animals are treated for worms on a regular basis. I remember deworming my horse twice a year when I used to have horses, and heartworm. Dogs take heartworm pills all the time because the veterinary establishment understands that parasites can be problematic if they end up in the wrong parts of your animal. If they're in the digestive tract, you're going to have symptoms, or your pet's going to have symptoms. That's where there's things like diarrhea. Maybe they're not wanting to eat. That could be a sign that there's a parasite infection going on. And when it comes to Giardia, I was looking up symptoms to share with you, signs that this may be a problem for you. This is one that lives in our gastrointestinal tract, but parasites can migrate and can end up in any part of your body. So Giardia is mostly in the digestive tract. And this is the most common one. And symptoms or signs that you may be dealing with a Giardia problem is going to be explosive diarrhea. That can be a sign that there's bugs that don't belong in your system, and your body is trying to get them out as fast and efficiently as possible. Explosive diarrhea sucks. But you don't want to stop this because the body doesn't make mistakes. The body is always trying to keep us safe. And if there's a bug population in your gut that's stealing your nutrients, that's causing all kinds of problems, the body is like, get out now. That's why Giardia, that's a common symptom or side effect of that, or symptom of that is going to be explosive diarrhea, watery diarrhea as well, greasy stools, and really foul smelling poops. That's something I talk to clients about all the time, warn, I wanna say, but give clients a heads up for, when we start to work on parasites, because as we start to kill these and push them out of your system, you're gonna have really stinky boobs. It's not good, but it's a sign that we're making progress. It's a sign that we're killing things off. Other signs of Giardia, so that can be bloating, especially around this time of the month. So we've got a full moon happening tonight or tomorrow night. I think it's tonight, but Amanda says it's tomorrow. So it's one of the two. And so if you're dealing with a lot of bloating, this is just the point of sharing these things with you is so that you're kind of like, huh, I wonder if that's a thing, right? Because we often just dismiss and ignore stuff. And the more aware you can be about your body and your health, the more benefit it's going to be for you. So nausea is another one associated with Giardia. So nausea is going to make you not want to eat, probably. So if your children are not wanting to eat, if your pets are not wanting to eat, if you are not feeling like you're hungry or wanting to eat, that can be a sign that there's some Giardia in your system, and that's something that we need to take care of. Gas is another one here. I mean, stinky poops, gas is not surprising. Pain, joint pain can be really problematic when there's a parasite thing going on. And then fatigue. They steal your nutrients. They steal your energy. They make it hard for your body to function properly. So that's a big one that we see that can be connected to parasites as well. And then the other one that's really common, especially with young children, is pinworms. Pinworms is super contagious. And a sign that your child may be dealing with some pinworms is going to be itchy butt. If your kid is always reaching back and scratching their behind, this is a sign that there may be some parasites in their system. And yeah, from the perspective of very contagious, like if you're treating parasites in a child, you want to treat the whole family because everyone is most likely dealing with that. Kids scratch their butt, then they suck their thumb, then they touch their face, then they touch everything in the house. So we need to make sure that these things are being managed and they're being handled from a holistic perspective, because if you're only treating your child for the pinworms and not the rest of the family, it's just this vicious cycle. They go away or they get better and then they come back, and yeah. So when it comes to treating parasites or dealing with parasites for people, around the full moon is a really good time to do so, because when they're active, why not take advantage of that? Because they're not hiding in your tissues, they're not dormant. This is a good time to take care of them. So what we use for that, I just have two brands here, but this is my absolute favorite brand when it comes to parasite support. I've not found anything nearly as efficient and effective as Cellcore's parasite protocol. So Para One, I don't have any Para One right now. Well, Amanda has the Para One today, but Para One immobilizes the parasites in your digestive tract. And then you need something else to come in and kill them. They hold on to the walls of your colon and of your gut. They don't want to leave. You're providing them with this really comfy environment. You're feeding them daily. It's warm. They don't want to leave. So that's why we need to freeze them and then kick them out. So Para 1 would immobilize them. Para 2, really good for digestive support. I found Para 2 is very helpful if there's H. pylori in your system as well. This one can be very helpful for that. And then this is, if you've ever seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and the father who sprays Windex on everything and says it's the cure for everything, this is our Windex. We call Para 3 like the real world Windex. This stuff is amazing. This is good for going in and cleaning stuff out up in the gut, moving things out. We will like put a drop of this on our finger and rub it under our nose, behind our ears if we're going to be around a whole bunch of people, if we're traveling, if you've got any skin stuff. I'll often have people just like topically put it on their skin stuff. So Para 3 is really beneficial this time of the month. This can be helpful. Also, if you feel like you're coming down with something, Para 3 can be helpful. So these things are herbal. They're organic. They're completely like professional grade and natural supplements. Yeah, what's in here? Like thyme, sage, black walnut. Like these are all, this is really strong though. I've been taking this for a long time and I'll take it straight. And I don't even care anymore, but this is not something that most children will take. And that's why I brought up the other one. This is one of my favorites when it comes to giving it to kids. This is black walnut oil. You want to make sure that the dosing is appropriate for your child. So that's why it's good to, well, an adult as well, it's good to work with a practitioner and make sure that what you're doing, your body's not going to be sensitive to it, or that it's the right solution for you. And so that's something that we can help you with. But this one I really like for kids. It's glycerin based, where this is alcohol based, right? It's not super strong like the Para 3. There's a little bit of a sweetness to it. So this one's really good and really easy to give to kids. And again, it's a liquid, so it's not a problem. So yeah, I mean, that's the full moon. Great time if you're dealing with parasites. If you think you might be dealing with parasites, this is an excellent time to address that. And if this is something that you're curious about, send us a message. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. That's what I was surprised about this morning at BNI, was that I brought up parasites and how many people were like, "Yeah, I've heard of that." And the thing is, like, there's lots of things on the internet. There's lots of areas where you can hear about these things. Like TikTok is huge for this. So you're hearing about parasites or heavy metals or all these different things, but it's how do you know that you have a trusted resource where you can go and you can ask questions? This is a really important thing to have. And so if this is something that you would like help or support with, or you just have questions about it, you can ask me anything. I'm an open book. So send a message or even book a discovery call. We can talk about what's going on with you, like, are your symptoms that you're dealing with linked to parasites? It's definitely possible. I mean, people with really heavy periods. Oh, I was going to tell you a story. So I had a client, or I have a client, who has been dealing with low iron for a really long time. And so she went to her doctor in the summer of this year and got an iron infusion because her levels were really low. And after the iron infusion, sure, it brought the levels back up. But going and getting an infusion or getting something put into your body is not figuring out, why are your levels low? Why is this happening? And so less than 6 months later, she went for another round of blood work and her levels had plummeted again. And with nutrition response testing, muscle testing, which is what we do at Align Natural Health, we found that this client is actually dealing with a bloodborne parasite, which eats your iron. So anemia, why do you have anemia if that's something you're dealing with? Taking iron pills, most of the times, the only thing that does for you is it makes you constipated. And if we're giving you iron and there's something in your body that's the reason that you're losing iron or that's taking iron from you, you're feeding your parasites. And then they just proliferate and it becomes more of a problem. So we're now working with this client to help deal with this parasite, bloodborne parasite infection. And this is less uncommon. That was weird, but this is more common, there we go, than you may think. So if you have symptoms that nothing seems to be fixing, or that you're just not getting the answers that you're looking for, this is where we can help you. If you're interested in learning more about parasites, send me a message or book a free discovery call. We'd be more than happy to help you. Parasites is something that we literally deal with clients on a daily basis. It's not often recognized in North America. Stool samples, blood work often won't pick it up, but the frequency of a parasite in your body can be picked up with nutrition response testing. And so that's why we're able to help people is because we can vial test or we can muscle test and see like, oh, you have the frequency of a parasite in your body. This is the solution that's going to fix it. Or no, maybe you need this, or maybe you need something else. But it's about matching the right solution to help you get rid of whatever's getting in the way of you getting healthy, and then you'll start getting healthy. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully, you guys have a wonderful day. Pay attention. Take a look around you over the next couple of days and just see if you notice changes in people, changes in your kids, changes in how you feel, how you're sleeping, in coworkers. Just pay attention. And the more your awareness opens, the more you'll notice these things. So send me a message, reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful wonderful full moon, and I will talk to you again soon. It's Kate from Alive.